Welcome to Leaving Academia, Becoming a Freelance Editor. I'm your host, Paulina Cossette. On today's episode, I'm talking with Nata Salvatori, a doctor of physical therapy who left academia behind to start a wedding photography business that she built to the multiple six figures. She's now a business scaling coach and owner of Accidental CEO, where she specializes in helping entrepreneurs avoid burnout through delegation. That is, hiring other people to handle the tasks you don't want to do so you can focus on the areas where you truly shine. Nata shares her journey out of academia and what prompted her to leave and start a business. How professors can use the public speaking and teaching skills you already have to market your business effectively. Why we need to stop thinking of selling as being disingenuous or sleazy. And the mindset shift we can make to remember that ultimately you are providing your clients with a valuable service and helping them achieve their goals. We also discuss how confidence is built and not found, and why new business owners should consider delegating from the very beginning of their entrepreneurial journey. I am so grateful to Nata for joining me on the podcast today and showing you what is possible if you just make the leap. Here's our interview. Welcome to Leaving Academia, Becoming a Freelance Editor, the podcast. I'm your host, Paulina Cossette. In 2019, I was a political science professor who was fed up with the stress and hostility of academia, not to mention the low pay. I left my tenure-track job and went from barely surviving to thriving as a freelance academic editor. Today, I own Acadia Editing Services, an editing and coaching business that brings in six figures a year. In this podcast, I'll discuss the challenges of academia, what academic editing involves, and what life as a freelancer looks like. If you're willing to jump outside your comfort zone, it is possible to find joy, true flexibility, and a profitable and rewarding career as an academic editor. Thanks for listening. Hi, Nata. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Paulina. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
It is so great to have you here. We connected through Linda Sidhu's Mixer Mind, which is such a fabulous group. So many amazing people in business. And today we are going to talk about your journey out of academia and into business. So why don't we start at the beginning? Tell us, what did you used to do in academia and how did you get into business?
Yeah, so for 10 years, I was in the healthcare world, worked as a physical therapist. I have my doctorate degree. And as part of that, I was actually teaching at the university level, helping those doctors of physical therapy learn the ways into the clinical world. So I was doing a combination of classroom work, teaching at the university, and then training them on the field as well. And then after 10 years of doing that, I never imagined myself not doing that. I was going to retire being a physical therapist. That was my plan. But things happen, changes happen in the environment that I was in. And I found out I needed to be in a place where I could feel more valued, that I wouldn't be maybe tossed around, and really my skills and my dedication and my accountability, everything that I was given to that, to that corporate environment, I could be doing it for myself. So why not start my own business and really be that great employee that I was to somebody else to my own business? So that's how I kind of started my journey into entrepreneurship.
I love that. I hear that from so many people, just the sense of working so hard and giving so much of yourself, but feeling unappreciated. And that, for me, what you just said about why not do it for myself, that to me is what I love. It's not that we don't work hard. It's that all the work and the effort we put into it comes back to us instead of an administrator or a university or, a 19-year-old or somebody else. So how did you get into business? Where did you start? And then what do you do today?
Yeah. So at some point, during that transition where I was trying to figure it out, is this where I want to be for the rest of my life, or is there something else out there for me? I just went through this mental exercise of like, if I couldn't do this anymore, if I could no longer be a physical therapist, what would I do? And then I had a few options that came to mind. So I could either go back to school and go into medical school and be a surgeon, because it was something I always loved. I know I'm weird. I love cadaver lab. That was amazing. And I'm like, it was really good and really skilled with like dissection and things like that. And as a professional athlete in the past, I thrive in high pressure environments. So I'm like, put me in the surgical world. Like I'll be great. But obviously that would take a lot more years and dedication to schooling and all that. So that was option number one. And option number two was maybe some interior designing. I really love decorating, have a really good eye for like aesthetics and things like that. And then number three was photography, which is also, more in the creative world, but also something really easy to learn on my own. So I decided to give it a try on the photography side of things. So I would come home after my work, take care of the kids, put everybody to bed. And then from like 10 p.m. till 1 or 2 a.m., I would just consume education on photography and how to be a great photographer and how to start a business into photography. So that's kind of like how I transitioned. I started as a little bit of a side hustle and try it out with a few friends, and very quickly started charging money and realized I can make more money doing this than I'm making right now. Like, why would I not put all my effort and all my time into this business?
That's great. And it's such a natural transition, I think, for academics to go into business because it's not that hard to learn. I mean, there's obviously a lot of experimentation and trial and
Mhm.
error over the course of running the business. But when you're just starting out, there's plenty of books and resources. And if you are a self-starter and you like to learn, it is very easy to get out there and get the basics, I think, when you're just
Mhm.
starting out, and then just try like a side hustle, like you were saying, and then build and learn from there.
I think
And
in academia, there's also like so much there's already accountability built in there. Like, that's not going to be a problem, right? You have to meet deadlines. You're accountable. You're accountable for a group of people to make sure that they learn what they need to learn. So there's a lot of what you need as an entrepreneur that is already ingrained in the brain of an academic person. So, like you said, there's a lot of good steps and good skills that are transferable to the entrepreneurship world that are great coming from academia for sure.
yeah, being responsible on our own, not having somebody always looking
Hmm.
over our shoulder to make sure we're meeting deadlines and
Yeah.
those kinds of things. Yeah. So then how did you go from photography to your business accidental CEO?
Yeah. So right now, I coach people how to grow their business, right? So as a photographer, it was again amazing fun, making lots of money, making multiple six figures, but I was missing the teaching. That was basically it, like that connection with other people, helping them learn and succeed in their own and go that ripple effect, right? That education has, that academia has. I was missing that. So just naturally, I was giving a lot of advice and helping people with their business. So I decided to officially start my coaching business, into that entrepreneurship journey and help other people understand the ins and outs of building a business. I mean, a lot of us are accidental CEOs, right? As does the business name say. So why not create a platform that really helps people transition with more structure and strategy and safety. So, we kind of take away all the myths and the fears of really, starting a business of your own. So that's how Accidental CEO kind of came about.
That's fantastic. I think I went through a similar process where I really enjoyed editing, and After being around so many horrible people in academia, it was nice to work alone. And,
Yeah.
it was just me and my dog and the kids were around for a little while, but then they went off to school and I loved it. I could just do whatever I wanted. I didn't have to talk to anybody. But after a few years, I got to this point too, where I missed teaching and I missed interacting with people. And that's what made me start my own program, becoming an academic editor, because I wanted to be in that environment again. And it is really rewarding because all your students actually want to be there. They don't complain
Yeah,
about having to do the reading.
exactly.
So, so you also, as part of running your business, you do a lot of public speaking as well. And I wonder, as as a professor, we are not unfamiliar with public speaking. We do so much talking in front of our classes, to our students, to colleagues in meetings, at conference presentations. And I do believe that academics who move into business, they can draw on that teaching experience and that public speaking experience in their marketing, in their social, when they're creating social media content, when they are networking and communicating with others to bring in clients. But they are so understandably afraid of selling themselves or marketing themselves or feeling disingenuous or salesy. And I wonder if you can speak to that in your own experience, learning how to do this, or tips that you have. How can people with this public speaking background make some changes, maybe in mindset or, practical changes to feel more comfortable about talking about themselves and their business as opposed to teaching course material?
Yeah, so you definitely have it right. The thing that you need to, first of all, really understand and grab on is that you already have the skill, right? The actual public speaking skill, you got it. And that's what most people actually are missing. There are a lot of people that have a lot to share, but they can't speak. They cannot, for the life of them, put together a coherent presentation and really, teach the information. You already have that skill, and that is a great, amazing thing. The way I teach people how to kind of feel more comfortable in front of an audience when it comes to selling yourself, right, and selling your business and your offer is to, one, try to flip the script a little bit. A lot of times we are worried about being too pushy and being too salesy and not really. Sales don't have a great positive image out there. It's just the way it is, right? But if you think in a way that you have something to offer, you have a solution to a problem, it would be selfish of you not to offer that help to people. There's so many people out there that could benefit from what you have to say, that could benefit from your offer, your product, your services. Why deny them of that experience? Why not help people? Think about how your client would feel if you have a whole conversation with somebody, and at the end of that conversation, you didn't make the sale, you didn't offer them that service. Imagine if you walk into a car dealership and you want to buy a car. You saved all this money to buy a car, you're ready to invest, and you walk into a dealership and you tell them you want to buy a car. They go through the whole process of showing you all the cars in the lot and explaining everything. And then the salesperson looked at you at the end and said, "All right, have a good day." And they turn around and walk back in. How would you feel? You'll be so confused. Like, what just happened? Am I not good enough to buy your car? Like, you don't think I have the money to buy the car? Like, why did you not try to sell it to me? And that's what we're doing to our clients when we, shy away from selling and offering that solution to the problem. Selling is not something you do to people, it's something you do for people. And when you start thinking of sales in that kind of mindset, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable. It's offering a solution to somebody's problem. Why would you not do that?
That's such a great way to turn that around. We are, especially as academics, as editors, as coaches, we have this highly specialized knowledge. We have this problem that we probably struggled with personally for years, whether it's trying to figure out how to publish or just to write more efficiently, to organize our day so that we have time to write. All of those things that we all as academics struggle with, maybe we figured out a solution. Maybe we figured out a framework or a plan that works. Why not share that with people? And I know that we're conditioned as teachers that we're supposed to give all our knowledge away for free, but we haven't been doing that. I mean, the university charges tuition dollars to students. So
Yeah.
really, when you think about a student getting knowledge from a university, they're paying for it. What is the difference between somebody else coming and paying you for that really personalized special attention that you're going to be able
Yeah.
to give to them in your business?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I love that. You're helping people, you're sharing these secrets that you've worked so hard to find and discover this framework, and you're sharing it with them as opposed to trying to sell them, like a used car salesman or something.
Yeah.
So what about this concept of, I saw on your website, you talk about confidence is built, not found. And I wonder, that's something that I've been working on a lot lately with my own coach, is starting before you're ready. I think we feel, especially as academics, we feel like everything has to be perfect before we put ourselves out there.
Yeah.
And so what is your suggestion to folks who are afraid to, share their website until it's perfect, or afraid to start networking with clients until they know exactly what they're doing? How can they get over that?
Yeah. So readiness is not a state of mind, is a choice. Right? It's just something you have to choose to be ready and get going. I think a lot of the thought process around like confidence and being ready is, a lot of people think people are born with confidence. You're just confident. You're always confident. Like, I'm not like that. And confidence is something that you can build. It's a skill, just like riding a bike or running is not easy, is something you have to work on constantly, but it's absolutely something that you can train and you can build as part of your skill set. So taking small steps of like celebrating the things that you're really good at, reminding yourself of all the accomplishments that you've had, and really including confidence in your day-to-day like thinking and acting, will help you take the steps towards that. And I think that, this idea of being perfect before we start is just holding you back. Nobody needs perfect. We need done. Done is better than perfect. I know you guys have heard that before, but it's really like, I feel like there's this higher sense of urgency to get things done when the balls are really rolling. So if you try to solve all the problems before you start something, you're just never going to start. But if you get it going, the ball is rolling. Whenever there is a problem that shows up, the urgency to solve that problem, to move forward, is going to be a lot higher, because the ball is rolling and you can't stop and things are going. So I'll say get started. And then as things arrive, like as they come up, you can solve that problem and continue to move forward. Don't try to solve all the problems you can potentially have before you start. I think being vulnerable and understanding that nobody's perfect makes you even more relatable. Like, it's completely okay not to have everything perfectly done all the time. And it does not make you less of an expert because of that. So
Yeah, I've shared with the people in my program that before I launched my Becoming an Academic Editor course, I launched a course on how to write an academic book proposal. And it was a fabulous course. I love it. But it was a total flop. I think I sold about 3 copies or something, and I got into it, and I could have kept pushing, I could have kept marketing, and I realized I hate talking about book proposals. This is literally the last thing in the world that I want to have to talk about all day long. And so, I think it is good to know, for your audience to hear you say, I messed something up, or I quote unquote failed in this way, but it's really not failure, right? Maybe you launch your website and you realize later on that there was a typo in it or whatever. You go back and you learn, right? You fix it. You make changes. And for me in that process, I learned all about how to make a course and how to start marketing it and how much work was going to go into marketing it, so that I was ready when I launched the next one, which is really what I love talking about, is helping people start businesses. It was like practice rather than failure. And I also, as you were talking, I was thinking that trying to be perfect all the time is a recipe for burnout, right?
Mhm.
Like if we are always pushing ourselves to have the perfect website or the perfect services page or the perfect client letter or whatever, we're just going to be exhausted. And when you're running a business, you can't be perfect. Everything is always changing. Everything's always moving. You have to be flexible and make adjustments. And, just when you get it perfect, something else comes up and you have to change it anyway. So that's another area that you specialize in. And you are getting ready to launch a course for, I think, more established business owners, right, on how to delegate their work to avoid burnout. But I wonder if you have some advice for newer folks who are running their business. And maybe we can talk a bit about what some delegation could be for those who are getting to the point where their business is growing and need that. How do we avoid burnout? If we burned out in academia and we started a business, to have that flexibility and that freedom, it is still easy to start to overwork yourself again and
Yeah.
go back into those patterns. So what should we be thinking about to try to prevent that from happening?
Yeah, that can absolutely happen. And it does happen a lot, which is why so many new business fail within that first year, and definitely within the first 5 years is because people just try to do too much on their own. So you left this environment where there was a lot of support. You have somebody creating a calendar for, academia, and you have somebody in accounting, and you have somebody that puts together the classrooms, and you have an IT person and AV and all that kind of stuff. So you have a support system. You might not realize you do, but once you get out on your own, now all of a sudden you're wearing 17 hats, and you need to be, able to do all your bookkeeping, and you're doing your marketing, and you running your business and answering emails and creating contracts, all kinds of things that you were not doing before. So it's very easy to get burned out very fast if you just grab onto this idea that you have to do it all yourself. I think delegation is not necessarily something that you have to wait until you're at a certain point of your business to start. I think it's a smart concept to start incorporating your business from the get-go. Like, you have your zone of genius. That's the part of the business that you're really good at. That's probably the whole reason why you have a business. You're really good at editing, or you're really good at photography. You're really good at coaching. You don't have to be the person managing an inbox, creating social media posts, doing your bookkeeping. All those low level tasks are things that you can easily delegate to somebody and really be focusing your time and effort into the things that are going to move the needle in your business, that are going to help you grow. How can you bring more growth and money into your business? That's how you should be spending your time on. And I hear from a lot of my clients like, oh, I need to make more money first before I start delegating. And if you're waiting to have wealth before you delegate, you have it backwards. Like, being able to delegate and free up your time as a CEO to really grow your business is what's going to give you the opportunity to make more money. So I wouldn't say don't wait until you find yourself into that burnout phase where you're ready to just close the doors and let go of this dream that you had because you're so exhausted. Start thinking about what tasks you can start delegating as soon as possible to continue to free up your time to allow you to develop yourself as a business owner, and in develop your business as you grow. So I'll say don't wait until it's too late to start thinking of this idea of delegating as part of being more of a business strategy. It's not something that you just do. It's not handling off tasks. It should be a business strategy to grow your business.
That's such a great point. I do think so many of us, including myself, wait too long to delegate. I remember, I think it was late last year, I knew I was about to hit six figures for the first time in my business. And there was a woman, somebody had recommended to me, she's a virtual assistant.
Mhm.
And I found all these reasons to put off hiring her. Oh, I don't have the money, or it's going to be too expensive,
Yeah.
or she lives in Australia and it's just not going to work, as if like that matters in the remote work world that we live in.
Right.
And I kept seeing her posts on Instagram, and they were just fantastic. And finally, I contacted her, and her prices are totally reasonable. And she works just 5 hours a week for me. And now we're to the point where she makes all my content. She researches, places PR opportunities where I can write, opinion pieces or whatever. She does all that stuff that I don't want to do. I hate making social media content. She takes it off my plate, and it frees me up, like you said, to focus on what I love doing and what energizes me instead of having to do all this stuff that burns me out. So yeah, I think that's great too. And and she does it way faster than I could,
I know.
So it is great. Yeah. Even just or like hiring an accountant or something, it would take me like 24 hours of effort to put my taxes together. Meanwhile, I can pay my accountant $300 and, I don't have to think about it. So that's such a great point. So this has been really wonderful talking with you, and it's so great to hear your story of how you've had different phases, right? I think we go into academia thinking that this is what we're going to do the rest of our lives. And why? We are complex people. We change. We have different interests. We have different goals. Our lives change. Our situations change. And so it's so great to hear that you've gone through these different phases and been successful. And that now you're launching this new course to work with people. So I close out every interview with a question of what are maybe one or two pieces of advice. If you look back at your journey in business, what is something you would suggest to somebody else who's starting out, just kind of reflections on your own journey or tips that you would give to somebody else who's a new business owner?
Yeah, and I think especially for, those people in academia, you understand this concept even more than other people, but the idea of having a coach, having a mentor, and how important that is from the get-go. Again, don't wait until you're so lost that you're ready to close the doors to ask for help. Have that person that you can go to from the beginning to help you understand you're entering a world that you are not familiar with. And that's completely fine to ask for help and have somebody to guide you along the way. So say number one is definitely invest into coaching. Think of coaching as part of business growth and it's part of strategy. And then, delegation. I'll die on that hill. I'm your delegation queen. And I will always talk about delegation and understanding that, again, you don't have to wait until you have the money. You don't have to wait until you're burnout to start that. Start seeing delegation as a sustainable strategy to growth, because it is the only way to continue to make money, continue to grow without burning out all your time and your sanity. So consider those two things from the beginning of your journey, and that alone can help you, give you a higher chance of succeeding in this crazy entrepreneur world that we live in today. So
wonderful. Really powerful suggestions. Thank you so much. If people want to get in touch with you and learn more about your work, how can they do that?
Yes, my website is accidentalceo.co. You can find all the coaching information in there and in all the information about the delegation course that's coming out this summer.
And Nata has a fantastic podcast too, right? Called Accidental CEO. I love it. And so that's another great resource, I think, for people to hear more from you.
Absolutely. I would love to have you guys over there as well.
Well, thank you so much, Nata, for being with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm excited for you and your community and all the good things we can do in this new world of entrepreneurship.
Thank you. If you're unhappy in academia and you think you might be a good editor or writing coach, check out my course, Becoming an Academic Editor. This digital course is paired with a 12-week group coaching program to support you through your decision to leave academia or not, and to start building a profitable and rewarding academic editing business. Learn more by going to acadiaediting.com/become an editor. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time.